Having the correct seat height is vitally important for an efficient pedalling style and optimal power transfer, not to mention, of course, helping to prevent injuries. So in this video, we're going to look at 3 methods to work out and set your optimal seat height, starting from something very basic up to something a little bit more complicated, but importantly, none of them requiring a professional bike fit. Now, before we delve in though, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done already. You can do that by clicking the little icon in the bottom corner of the screen, and also click the notifications icon too, so you won't miss any of our new content when it's uploaded. Now, I must stress from the get-go that what we're about to run through in terms of these methods for calculating your seat height are guidelines only. There are a number of individual preferences that might come into play once you actually get riding. Things like your riding style, for instance, whether you like to ride with your toe pointing down or up, that can change your seat height. Also, your pedal shoe stack height, that could also affect your seat height. Even your crank length, of course. So there are a number of individual factors. So yes, please do be aware this is a kind of a guidelines only. If you want to get your seat height to the exact millimeter, then that's the time to go and seek a professional bike fit. Okay, so where do we measure seat height from? That's pretty important. We measure seat height mostly from the top of the saddle, at a point roughly in line with the middle of the seat post and seat tube, to the center of the bottom bracket spindle. So that is the kind of standardized seat height measurement position. So I would take a tape measure from this point at the top of my seat down through a line which sort of bisects the center of that seat tube to the center of my BB spindle. So there you can see that's my seat height set nice and accurately to 77.4. So that is how we measure our seat height. Okay, so without further ado, let's crack on with method 1. Okay, so this first method is super simple. It's a very basic way to check your seat height. The great thing with this method is it can be done anywhere at any time without any specific tools. All you need to be able to do is move the seat up and down, so whether that's an Allen key to do that or a quick release lever, whatever. But yeah, this is going to be super easy for you to check your saddle height anywhere at any time and on any bike. So what you do is you sit on the bike and get yourself into your kind of seated position on the saddle, and that is basically get your sit bones square as they would be whilst you're riding. You don't want your pelvis to be tilted one way or other. Have the bike upright as well, as you would when you're riding. So once you've got that position, you want the crank to be in its lowest point, or its most stretched point. Now, bear in mind that's not the 6 o'clock position. It's actually the position when it's in line with the seat tube and seat post, because that's when your leg will be at its most stretched. It's probably a good idea actually at this point to take your shoe off as well, just so that you've not got any differences for thickness in the height of the sole of the shoe. For instance, if you're wearing running shoes, that would really change the thickness of the heel of the shoe, for instance. So yeah, shoes off is a good bet for this. And then what you're looking to do is put your heel onto the pedal, okay? So with your heel on the pedal, your leg should be completely dead straight and stretched out at the very bottom point, and you can see my heel is just about touching on there without me rocking my pelvis across to compensate for that. So with your heel just touching on the pedal there, what happens when you go to sort of clipped in position is that your foot then comes to this position here, and then you naturally get that slight bend in the knee, which is what you're looking for at that lowest or bottom point of the pedal stroke. So it's as simple as that, really. You just move the seat up and down until you get to that point where, yeah, heel on the pedal at the lowest point, leg completely dead straight and stretched out, and then when you bring it back to the pedaling position, got your bend. That's method 1. Now on to method 2. Okay, so for this method, we're going to get just a little bit more scientific. And for this one, you're going to need a book, a tape measure, and a pen, and a way to mark a line, or at least a way to mark a line on the wall. It's good, actually, if you've got a helper to hand. It's easier if you get someone to help you with this bit. You'll see why in just a second. Okay, so this is called the LeMond method, as it was pioneered by Greg LeMond back in the 1980s. And it's based on your inseam measurement, and then you multiply that by a factor of 0.883 to get your seat height calculation. So how do you measure your inseam? Well, I'm going to show you. That's where the book and the pen comes in. So, shoes off, and imagine that you're measuring your overall height against a wall. So you stand with your heels against the wall, legs shoulder width apart, stand up nice and straight. And what you're going to do, and again, this is where your helper would be useful, using a nice sturdy book like this, the Cyclist Rides book. If you haven't already purchased a copy of this, you can do so over at our shop. Very nice book full of some beautiful big rides all over the world. Yes, you're going to take your nice sturdy book and you're going to put that up under your crutch, like so, against the wall. And what you're going to do, standing up nice and straight, is you're just going to apply just a small amount of upwards pressure, just to compress the soft tissue under your crutch, as if you were sitting on a saddle, as that tissue would be compressed. I'm doing this in jeans now. Probably is a good idea if you want to be as accurate as possible to wear your cycling shorts for this stage as well. So yeah, just to demonstrate those, so I'm going to pull that book up with a little bit of pressure and then step away from that book when that's in the right place. And then you can make your little mark on the wall like so, and that, you know, is your inseam length. And the method that Greg LeMond and his coach developed back in the 80s was to multiply your inseam length by a factor of 0.883. So we would simply measure that distance, so in this case 86 centimeters multiplied by 0.883, and that will give me my seat height from top of the saddle to center of the BB spindle, as I showed you earlier in the video. Okay, so for the final method, we're going to take things up another notch and just get that little bit more scientific again. With this method, obviously you can see I've got into some cycling kit now because it's going to be much easier for you to see while I'm wearing shorts, and also you need your shoes and pedals as you would for a riding setup for this measurement too. Okay, so this is called the knee over pedal spindle measurement, and it's kind of as much as anything, it's a kind of a check. So it might be worth having done the LeMond method first, or one of the other, the heel on the pedal method, to get your seat height roughly in the right place first, and then use this method as a kind of a final check to make those fine adjustments. You'll see more about why in just a sec. So it's really handy if you get a friend to help you with this type of measurement, and it's also good potentially to put your bike in a turbo trainer, because that means you know that it's held nice and upright, and it also means that you can pedal for a couple of minutes just to settle down into your sort of seating position and where you normally ride. You're also going to need for this a plumb line, so one of these, or at least a piece of string with a heavy nut or something tied to the end of it, so at least you can use a straight sort of something to use as a plumb line if you don't have an actual plumb line. Okay, what you need to do in terms of setup is make sure your bike is on a level surface and get your cranks horizontal, so completely parallel with the ground. Okay, and then you're going to jump on. As I said, if you're on a turbo trainer, you can pedal for a minute or so just to settle into your sort of nice seating position, and so you're comfortable. And then you're going to clip in, and your left crank arm is the sort of measurement one. It's easy to see, or easier to make the measurement from there. You can actually check it with both crank arms once you realise how to do the measurement. But what I'm going to do is use the left because it's nice and easy for you to see on camera. And the point we're measuring is just in this sort of soft tissuey bit behind your patella, so behind your kneecap. In here is your data point, and then that's where you're going to drop your plumb line down from. Okay. And what we're looking to achieve is that should bisect the middle of the pedal spindle if you've got your seat position correct. So as you can see, hopefully, I've got my seat position pretty correct, and my knee center of rotation there, or the point behind my kneecap there, is bisecting nicely over my pedal spindle. So it's a really simple check to do. As I say, it's easier if you get someone to help you, but just for the purpose of this video, I can show you how to make that measurement. It's a good idea to also use that to check your seat's forward and back position, because don't forget you can change your seat position both in terms of its height and its fore-aft adjustment too. So it might mean that you can make some just fine-tuning adjustments to your position to get that knee directly over your pedal spindle. It could also mean that your cleat is potentially in the wrong place on your shoe as well. We have another video for that already on our channel. I'll pop a link to that in the description below. So there we have 3 fairly straightforward ways which you can check and calculate your optimal seat height. One thing I would say is if you do that and you find that you need to make quite a big change, so anything more, certainly more than 10 mil over where you're currently using or where your seat is currently set, then it may well be worth considering just making those adjustments in small steps. You'll find it will take your body a little while to adapt, so making those big changes might actually cause you to feel pain or discomfort. So yeah, make those changes over a couple of different a couple of rides in smaller increments, that'd be a better way to do it. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, do give us a thumbs up, and of course leave your comments below too. I'm always happy to hear your comments and thoughts on these videos. And also click the link that's about to pop up on the screen to head over to cyclist.co.uk for all the latest news, tech and in-depth product and bike reviews. See you next time, and thanks for watching.